Open your kitchen cabinet. Look at the cooking oil. There is a very good chance that what you are holding started its life as toxic industrial waste from a cotton field. And the reason you think it is healthy? A soap company paid $1.7 million to rewrite American dietary science. And the organization that told your doctor this was good for you, they were bought with a single check. It starts in 1866. Cotton is king in America. After you pull the fiber from a cotton plant, you are left with a massive problem: millions of tons of seeds. Those seeds contain oil, and that oil is poisonous to humans. A chemical called gossypol, a natural pesticide the plant produces, makes the oil completely inedible. Farmers fed small amounts to cattle, but most of it was simply thrown away. Cottonseed oil was agricultural garbage, worthless. Now enter Procter & Gamble around the year 1900. They are not a food company. They make soap and candles in Cincinnati, Ohio. They need cheap fats as raw material, and animal fats are expensive. Cottonseed oil is dirt cheap because nobody wants it. So Procter & Gamble asked a question that would quietly reshape the American diet forever. What if we could somehow make this toxic waste edible? The process they develop is brutal. Extract the oil from the seeds using chemical solvents. Heat it to extreme temperatures to neutralize the gossypol. Force pressurized hydrogen gas through it to make it solid at room temperature. That process is called hydrogenation. Then chemically deodorize it because it smells absolutely rancid. Then bleach it because the natural color is an unappetizing gray. What comes out the other end is a white, solid, odorless substance that looks exactly like lard. They call it Crisco. It is short for crystallized cottonseed oil. They patent it in 1907 and launch it commercially in 1911. Industrial textile waste chemically transformed into something that sits on your kitchen counter. But here is the problem. Nobody in America wants to eat factory-processed cotton paste. Your great-grandmother cooks with lard and butter, the same way humans have cooked for thousands of years. She is not switching because a soap company tells her to. Procter & Gamble need to convince her that everything she knows about cooking is wrong, and that their laboratory product is somehow better. The marketing campaign they design is, and I say this with genuine disgust, brilliant. They print free cookbooks with recipes specifically designed to require Crisco and distribute them to housewives across the country. They sponsor cooking demonstrations in major cities. They target Jewish communities with advertisements promoting Crisco as kosher because it is neither meat nor dairy. Then they run magazine ads with a very specific class message. Modern, educated, scientific families use Crisco. Backward, ignorant, rural families still use lard. They did not just sell a cooking fat, they turned it into a status symbol. Buy Crisco or admit you are unsophisticated. It worked. Sales climbed. Lard started disappearing from American kitchens, but the cookbooks were just the opening move. The real play happened in 1948. That year, the American Heart Association was a tiny, obscure medical organization with exactly $1,700 in their entire operating budget. They had almost no influence, no public visibility, and no real funding. Then, Procter & Gamble wrote them a single check for $1.7 million, 1,000 times their existing budget, overnight. From a company that manufactures vegetable oil. Think about what that means. The AHA went from an organization nobody had heard of to a major national health authority with serious funding and influence. And their biggest corporate benefactor just happened to be the company that would profit most from one very specific dietary recommendation: replace animal fats with vegetable oils. The payoff came in 1961. The American Heart Association issued its first official dietary guidelines for the American public. The advice was clear: avoid saturated fat from animal sources. Replace it with vegetable oils. And which specific oil brands did they recommend? Crisco, Wesson, the exact products manufactured by the company that funded them. The conflict of interest was not subtle, it was blatant, and nobody seemed troubled by it. Newspapers reported these guidelines as objective medical science. Family doctors repeated them to patients across the country. The United States government adopted them into federal nutrition policy. Within a single decade, butter became an artery-clogging poison and chemically processed cottonseed oil became the heart-healthy choice. A soap company had successfully rewritten what America eats. This is where the story gets dark. not corporate greed dark. People died. In the 1980s, researchers made a discovery that should have ended Crisco immediately. Trans fats, the artificial fats created by the hydrogenation process, directly cause heart disease. They raise your bad cholesterol. They lower your good cholesterol. They trigger chronic inflammation throughout your body, and they increase your risk of heart attack more than any other dietary fat ever studied, more than sugar, more than alcohol, more than red meat. The single worst thing you could put in your body was the thing being marketed as the healthy alternative. The product that the American Heart Association told your parents was protecting their hearts was actively destroying them for 70 years. 7 decades of Americans making a deliberate health choice based on official medical guidelines. Choosing Crisco over butter, choosing vegetable oil over animal fat, and every single time unknowingly making themselves sicker. It took until 2018 for the FDA to officially ban artificial trans fats from the American food supply. By then, researchers estimated that trans fats had contributed to tens of thousands of heart disease deaths every single year they were in use. What was Procter & Gamble's response when this came to light? They quietly reformulated the recipe, removing the hydrogenation process, and they kept selling seed oils under the same brand name. They never issued a public statement. They never recalled a single product. They never apologized. They never acknowledged that their heart-healthy cooking fat had spent an entire human lifetime actively causing the exact disease it claimed to prevent. They just moved on and hoped nobody would notice. You would think the story ends there. It does not. Look around any American supermarket today. Soybean oil, canola oil, corn oil, safflower oil, they are in everything. Salad dressings, chips, crackers, frozen meals, bread, baby formula, restaurant fryers. Pick up almost any packaged food in the grocery store, flip it over, and there it is on the ingredient list. These modern seed oils use the same basic chemical extraction process that Procter & Gamble pioneered over a century ago. Same industrial solvents. Same high-temperature refining. The bottles just have prettier labels now. The hydrogenation is mostly gone, so the trans fat problem is technically solved. But researchers are now raising serious concerns about what these oils do when you heat them in a pan. They oxidize rapidly during cooking, creating compounds that integrate into your cell membranes. Once there, they trigger inflammatory signaling that can persist for months or even years. They are loaded with omega-6 fatty acids at levels that promote chronic inflammation throughout the body. Here is the uncomfortable truth. These oils have never existed in human diets at anything close to current consumption levels. Not in 10,000 years of agriculture. Not in 200,000 years of human evolution. They are a completely novel addition to what we eat, introduced within the last century and scaled up by corporations because they are extraordinarily cheap to produce. And the food industry has spent that entire century telling you they are healthy, because the alternative would mean admitting that industrial waste from cotton fields should never have been chemically processed into food in the first place. So what do you actually do with this information? You do not need to become obsessive, but you can start paying attention. Read the ingredient labels on what you buy. Look for soybean oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, and seed oil blends. They are in almost everything packaged. When you cook at home, use the fats your great-grandparents used. Butter, lard, tallow, olive oil, coconut oil. These are the fats that humans cooked with for thousands of years before a corporation decided cotton waste was more profitable. When you see heart healthy on a food label, understand that those words are a marketing phrase, not a medical diagnosis. Most restaurant food is cooked in seed oils, and that is nearly impossible to avoid when eating out. But the real power is in your own kitchen. Your great-grandmother did not need a corporation to tell her how to cook. She used lard because that is what worked for every generation before her. Then a soap company in Cincinnati figured out how to turn cotton garbage into something that looked like food, bought the most trusted health organization in the country, and convinced 3 generations of Americans to throw away thousands of years of ancestral knowledge. The next time you reach for that bottle of vegetable oil, just remember where it came from. Not a vegetable, a cotton field, processed in a chemical plant, sold to you by the same people who used to make your soap.